They said monsters are born in shadows, but this one grew up in plain sight, behind white curtains and freshly painted walls, in a house everyone admired and no one questioned. On Maple Drive, the kind of street where neighbors waved and lawns were trimmed with military precision, lived a boy named Eli Harper and the man who made him invisible. From the outside, Victor Harper was a success story. Business owner, church donor, a man whose handshake carried weight. Inside the house, his voice was law. Inside that house, Eli learned early that silence was safer than truth. By the time Eli was 10, he had mastered the art of disappearing while standing right in front of people. Teachers said he was quiet. Neighbors said he was polite. Victor said he was weak. Every insult was delivered calmly, precisely, the way a surgeon cuts. No bruises that could be photographed. No screams that carried past the walls. Just constant reminders that Eli owed everything to the man who raised him and deserved nothing beyond that. What no one noticed was how carefully Eli listened. True crime stories often begin with a body. This one begins with a boy watching his father smile for the community while quietly learning how power really works. Victor controlled narratives the way others controlled money. If something went wrong, there was always a story ready. A lie polished so well it sounded like truth. And if someone challenged him, they found themselves isolated, doubted, discredited. Eli saw it happen to his own mother before she vanished from the house and from conversation, reduced to a single sentence. She couldn't handle family life. By 16, Eli knew something else too. Monsters aren't always loud. Sometimes they're patient. The turning point came on a rainy night when Victor's newest business partner, a nervous man named Calvin Ross, showed up unannounced. Eli overheard the conversation from the staircase, voices low, words sharp, accusations about missing money, forged signatures, and a threat disguised as advice. When Calvin left, pale and shaking, Victor noticed Eli standing there. He didn't yell, he smiled. "You see what happens to people who don't understand their place?" Victor asked. Eli nodded because nodding kept him alive. A month later, Calvin Ross was found dead in his car at the bottom of a ravine. The ruling was in an accident. Victor attended the funeral. He hugged the widow. He told Eli, "Some people drive too fast when guilt catches up with them." That was the night Eli stopped believing in coincidence. The underdog in most stories fights back with fists or fire. Eli fought back with memory. He started documenting everything, dates, conversations, sudden changes in Victor's tone when certain names were mentioned. He recorded nothing digitally at first. He wrote by hand, hid pages behind loose boards, trained himself to remember details in case the evidence disappeared. Years passed. Victor's influence grew. He ran for city council and won. His speeches were about integrity, accountability, family values. The crowd applauded. Eli stood in the back, invisible as ever, carrying a library of secrets in his head. Dramatic irony is cruel like that. The audience knows the truth while the world cheers the lie. The power shift began quietly. The way earthquakes do small movements, no one feels until it's too late. Victor underestimated Eli completely. He still saw the quiet boy, the obedient shadow. When Victor asked Eli to help organize old files from his office, he didn't realize he was handing over a map to his own. Destruction, contracts, emails, offshore transfers, patterns that tied Calvin Ross and 2 other accidents together. Eli copied everything. The night Victor announced his campaign for state office, the house was filled with donors and laughter. Eli watched his father raise a glass and speak about legacy, about raising strong children. The irony almost made him laugh. Instead, he slipped out the back door and drove to a small, unmarked building on the edge of town, the office of a journalist who had been quietly investigating Victor for years and getting nowhere. Until now. What followed wasn't immediate justice. True crime rarely gives you that. It gives you tension, weeks of silence, then whispers. Has subpoena, a single headline buried on page 6. Victor dismissed it publicly, called it a political attack. Privately, He started tearing the house apart, looking for something he couldn't name. He never suspected Eli. The arrest came early, just before dawn. Sirens broke the illusion Maple Drive had lived under for decades. Neighbors watched from behind curtains as Victor Harper was let out in handcuffs, shouting about misunderstandings and betrayal. Eli stood in the doorway, barefoot, unnoticed as always. In the interrogation room, Victor finally looked at his son and saw something new. Not weakness, not obedience, calculation. "You did this," Victor said, voice shaking for the first time Eli could remember. Eli didn't deny it. He didn't need to. Justice doesn't always need a confession. Sometimes, it just needs the truth to breathe. The trial exposed everything: the fraud, the coercion, the deaths ruled accidents that suddenly made sense. The house that raised a monster wasn't just a home. It was a training ground, and the monster wasn't who everyone thought. When the verdict came back guilty, the room exhaled. For the first time, it felt like balance had been restored. The powerful had fallen. The underdog had won. The audience felt it. That deep satisfaction that justice, delayed, had finally arrived. But as Victor was led away, he leaned close to Eli and whispered something that froze him in place. "You think this ends me," Victor said. "You think I didn't plan for you?" Eli watched the doors close behind the man who taught him how monsters survive. And for the first time, he wondered if the evidence he'd uncovered was only the beginning. Because some houses don't stop raising monsters when the lights go out. Justice looked clean from a distance. Headlines faded. Victor Harper was sentenced. Maple Drive went quiet again, the way crime scenes do after the cameras leave. People told themselves the danger was gone. Eli knew better. Monsters don't disappear when you lock them up. They adapt. The first sign came in the mail. No return address. Inside was a single sheet of paper with one sentence typed in neat. Confident letters. "You forgot the basement." Eli stood in the kitchen of the same house, now hollow and echoing, and felt the past breathe against his neck. During the trial, prosecutors praised his cooperation, called him brave, resilient. They didn't ask about the house. No one ever does. Houses keep secrets better than people. The basement had always been Victor's territory. Locked, off limits, a place Eli was told only important things were stored. As a child, he believed that meant tools and paperwork. As an adult who had dismantled a man's empire, he understood it meant leverage. True crime teaches us that every conviction leaves something unfinished. That night, Eli went downstairs, behind a false wall. He found shelves of old drives, notebooks, photographs sealed in plastic, names he recognized from the trial and names he didn't. Politicians, judges, business rivals, each labeled carefully, like trophies. Victor hadn't just been powerful, he'd been prepared to lose. Dramatic irony tightened its grip. The man the world believed was defeated had built insurance against justice itself. Eli copied everything and turned it over to federal investigators. Again, this time, the response was different. Quieter, slower. Agents stopped calling back. Meetings were postponed. Files were under review. One investigator, pale and tense, pulled Eli aside and whispered, "Some of the people on those drives. You don't want their attention." That was when Eli understood the real power shift. Victor hadn't been the top of the food chain. He'd been a node, a distributor of secrets in a system that survived him. Then came the accident. Eli was driving home when a truck ran a red light and clipped his car, pushing it into a barrier. He survived with minor injuries. The truck vanished. No cameras caught the plate. Police called it unfortunate timing. Eli heard Victor's voice in his head, calm and instructional. Accidents are stories people accept. From prison, Victor requested a meeting. Eli almost refused. Almost. They sat across from each other, glass between them. Victor looked thinner, but not weaker. His eyes still measured, still owned rooms, even from a plastic chair. "I told you," Victor said softly. "You think this ends me? You're in prison," Eli replied. Victor smiled. "You're still breathing. That's my mercy." He leaned closer. The house raised you well. You know how this works now. You exposed me, congratulations, but you exposed yourself too. Outside the prison, rain fell the same way it had the night Calvin Ross died, patterns repeating. Eli went public. He leaked portions of the basement files to journalists who weren't afraid or compromised. The stories exploded. New investigations opened. Names fell from positions of power. For a moment, it felt like momentum, like the system could be shaken hard enough to crack. Then the smear campaign began. Anonymous tips questioned Eli's credibility. Old school records were twisted. Former neighbors described him as troubled. A paid psychologist suggested he had fabricated memories. The narrative Victor had perfected turned its attention on the son who dared speak. This is where true crime becomes uncomfortable. When the victim becomes the suspect in public opinion, Eli lost friends, lost job offers, lost sleep, but he didn't lose focus. He'd spent a lifetime learning how powerful people move, and he knew something they didn't expect. He still had the house. During renovations, workers uncovered a sealed crawl space beneath the foundation. Inside were audio tapes wrapped in oilcloth. Victor's voice filled the room when Eli played the first one, calm, confident, naming names, giving instructions, confessing not out of guilt, but out of pride. Insurance. Eli didn't leak these. He waited. Timing is everything monsters teach you. The day Victor's appeal hearing was scheduled, Eli released the tapes in full, raw, unedited, impossible to spin. They didn't just implicate Victor, they mapped the network. Judges recused themselves within hours. Arrests followed. Real ones. For the first time, Victor looked afraid. Justice finally felt heavy enough to matter. Sentences were extended. Assets seized. The house on Maple Drive was condemned. Its foundation literally cracked open by the truth it had hidden. The audience felt it. That rare, satisfying moments when the system bends toward accountability. But true crime never ends cleanly. Months later, as Eli prepared to leave town, his phone buzzed with an unknown number. A video loaded automatically. Grainy, dark, a basement that wasn't his. A familiar, calm voice spoke off camera. "You did well," the voice said. "Better than your father." The camera panned to a wall of shelves. New names, new dates, proof that the monster Victor raised had only been one head of something much larger. The message ended with coordinates. Eli stared at the screen, heart steady, mind clear. Justice had been served, but the war for truth was far from over. Because some houses don't raise just one monster. And now the monster was watching him back.